Hello, everybody, and welcome to our roundtable discussion. Now, 2 years ago, we put this group together and had a fantastic time at dinner one night. Prior to that evening, you guys didn't know each other. And you probably didn't know this, but I assembled that group on purpose. Because I know people, I know their personalities, different businesses, good conversations, and that night lasted for, about 4 hours. So before we get too much further, I want to have you guys introduce each other, or yourselves, each other. Tell us where you're from, just a little bit about your business and like your business focus. So let's start with you guys here.
Well, I'm Jody Rael, and this is my sister Mindy Brunkhart, and we're from Las Vegas, Nevada. And my studio is Jody Rael Photography, and we have another business called One Collective.
Yep.
And this is actually my 20th year in business. So,
wow, congratulations, Jody.
Thank you. And I mostly focus on high school seniors. We do a little bit of commercial, like headshots and branding. And then we focus on destination.
I was like, are you not going to talk about destinations?
Yes, I know. Yeah, we've been doing a lot of destinations and organizing destinations for photographers.
Okay, awesome. Carrie, go ahead.
I am Carrie Grant. Oh, right, I need that thing. Fantastic. Carrie Grant. I am from Boise, Idaho. Boise, not Boise.
It's early.
I specialize in high school seniors and a lot of women and children, fine art, photography, and then equestrian photography because that's my jam, that's my life. So
Yeah. All right. Teresa and Nate.
Sure. We are Teresa and Nate Peterson. We're out of New Richmond, Wisconsin, which is kind of a suburb of the Twin Cities area. We actually specialize in high school seniors. We do a little bit of commercial headshots and small volume sports. And we've been in business for how long?
2009.
Okay.
Wow. So it's been a few years. So also, in addition to, like what you guys just described, we have seniors in sports, we have fine art seniors and women and children, and then we have very destination-based, very lifestyle high school seniors. And with the One Collective, that's a completely different thing to talk about. But within this group, we have so much talent, and there's very different business models. So if you were going to go back 2 years ago to that initial dinner, that conversation, and the time that has passed between that, like, what do you feel out of the last 2 years? Let's start with the Petersons. Is one of your best tips or best ideas that has come from the last 24 months since we all sat down and had dinner that night?
Let's not start with the Peterson. I'm going to say, based on just this group in particular, is seeing Jody and Mindy's work that is more destination-based or more very fashion-oriented. I think a lot of stuff that doesn't look. I would put myself in a category of traditional or kind of the expected senior portrait from the last 20 years. And I think their work is more tomorrow's senior portrait work. So I think that's been inspiring to try and change my work a little bit, to modernize a little.
Yeah, and you definitely do, Nate. Like, I've seen you at countless conferences, and then we obviously see your stuff come through the lab, and then you're always kind enough to give us images for the booth, and we see a transition, and you're always keeping up and pushing yourself. It may not stick forever, but you do. You're constantly evolving. And I think that you sell yourself a little bit short because in the booth at another conference that you were actually working with me at, you were talking about the importance of destination. And it's not just a tree. It is a tree on Grandpa's farm that happened to be the thing. Like you dive into that with seniors. Like, how do you get into that type of role with your clients?
So we do an in-person consultation with every senior we work with because part of the base package in our business is getting an album for that senior that is just an all-inclusive.
Well, and I think to back up a little bit, like our whole tagline is tell your story. So again, we're not just going to take a picture of you by a tree. If you're a hunter and like that's the tree stand that you've been hunting in your whole life, on Grandpa's land. That's where we want to be, no matter how far it is. But that's our tagline, is tell your story. So I think that kind of gets them from the start, and then
yeah, starting with a survey and then giving them the new terminology is like giving them a place to be seen and heard. That's important so that these kids, I say, I have no ego in my work. It's collaboration. I want to work with you to pull out those ideas and really tell that story.
Right, because we all know, like we've obviously all photographed seniors. What do you want to do? What's important to you? Well, I don't know. You know, but you start to ask the questions, and that starts to come out. Now these guys, let's shift down here. We'll leave Carrie to last here. You guys build this whole model, styling, locations, all that. I want you to take that massive project and condense it into 3 minutes. Ready, set, go.
Well,
Where do you even begin?
Yeah, go for it.
all right. So I think the most important part of it is we're not necessarily building a destination shoot. We're building an experience and something that the kids can share with their parents. Because, I mean, I have a 14-year-old, and the time has just gone like that. Like, you know, and my husband and I are like sitting there looking at each other like, we've only got like 4 more summers before he's off. Right. And it just happens so fast. And so I know my clients are also thinking the exact same thing because they've voiced it, especially senior year. And so be able to create an experience. And coming out of COVID, people want to travel and they want to see things. And so I'm like, let's create these experiences and photograph the senior teenagers, really, and their parents too, at these places that they're already traveling to, and creating an experience that they can remember.
Yeah, for sure. And we're not just talking about like going down the street. We're talking about London, New Orleans, Miami, like all over.
Ghent,
Yeah,
Belgium.
Ghent.
Ireland.
Yeah, Ireland. Yeah, exactly. And I know, Mindy, you're a big piece of that as far as like the styling, locations. Like, how do you build that portfolio so you can hand it off to the senior clients and they know what they're expecting going into that? Because that's a huge undertaking.
Yeah, it's really twofold. If you know that you're building a destination experience for a specific client, then you kind of take what you know about them and you may style it based off of some of their preferred styles. Other times, if it's more of a group type of experience where you have multiple reps, multiple photographers coming from all across the world or the United States, then you're looking for inspiration in modern fashion houses and Vogue and places like that, you know, Fashion Week, New York and Milan and all those things. So you're taking those really avant-garde fashion styles and you're like, okay, what is the theme here that is really, that I can translate into something that teenagers, high school seniors want to wear, are not going to feel like they're being absolutely stupid looking. And so
With the location.
and then pair it with the location.
Right.
So if when we were in London, I looked to London Fashion Week and the London magazines that are based in London and England to really find some things that were interesting and on point for that year or that time, and really played with those.
Wow, it sounds exhausting. So now, Carrie, to you have your new studio space, and you have a design closet.
I do.
You do.
I do, a wardrobe.
So we have, and correct me if I'm wrong, we have client brings in options without a lot of interference or direction. We have a complete location build and style from beginning to end, more like a fashion concept. And then we have somebody who owns a lot of stuff.
I do own a lot of stuff, and it increases day by day.
Yeah.
Internet shopping. Ooh.
So how do you interact, or how does the client interact with that style closet and doing all like the headpieces and all that stuff in your work, Carrie?
So I think it's a collaboration as well, and a lot of the times, so it goes back to the consultation before the session and figuring out what they want. They will always bring in their own clothes as well, and we do simpler, more classic outfits that are coordinated, and then especially with the kids, I just say, go play. And they go into that closet and they're just like, oh my God, there's a crown and there's a flower. And it's like, it's playing dress up, and they just have such a ball with it. So we do some that I'm very directive and stylized and intentional. And then others where I literally just say to the kids, especially, just have at it.
Right.
So-
And they dig into that and
Oh,
they
God,
love
yes.
it, and it's just like playtime.
Yeah, totally. I mean, not every little girl, but most little girls love dressing up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, very cool. So since you're holding the mic, let's start with you for the next question.
Fabulous.
Carrie's like, winner.
yay!
Let's talk about inspiration. Not inspiration in business, but inspiration in style. Who inspired you? Where did your, and I know we all take a lot of different pieces from a lot of different people and make it our own, but like, is there a shining, like, boom, this is the person for me?
Well, Annie Marie is the first who comes to mind. I met her at Sync 2 years ago, same time. So Sync 2 years ago was huge for me because that was my very first conference. I am the newbie on the panel here.
But not really, because you
well-
had your business in South Africa.
But my business in South Africa was extremely different. It was shoot and burn. It was mostly equestrian with some families. So when I made the move, I started with a clean slate, and I was able to say, okay, I'm doing IPS. I want to go higher end. It was really an opportunity for me to just start over. So Annie, I met her. I remember sitting in the audience when she presented 2 years ago. I don't know if you guys remember her presentation, and I was just like, oh my God, that's who I want to be when I grow up. And meeting her, and I did a workshop with her. It was incredibly inspirational. So Annie's the first one who comes to mind, but then I still I internet stalk all the time, and I see ideas, and I am constantly kind of going, oh my God, I love that. I love that. I love that. I'm still very much working on finding my own creativity and voice. And rather than seeing something and saying, I want to duplicate that, I want to take that as inspiration and make it my own. So I'm still kind of working through that one.
Yeah, fantastic. Nate and Teresa, how about for you guys? And there's probably different inspiration because, Teresa, you're very much the business end of it, and Nate, you're very much the creative and sales side. So why don't we do for both of you?
So since I don't shoot or anything like that, I'm naturally an organized person. So that like I'm good with that. But Rachel and Clark Martin, years ago, I've seen them and they're no longer really in the circuit or whatever, but they were basically our business gurus for a long time, following everything they did and practicing. But really, every conference you go to, I go to every business class I can. That's kind of where my jam is. So anybody that I can see that's a business related, that's what I'm stalking. So
Yep, and minimalist, maximalist.
kind of you can.
Yeah. It's hard actually because of that to pick out a certain photographer. It's literally 10% of that one, 10% of that one, and that has over the years that's become my own thing over time. I'm like a recipe of a whole bunch of different recipes. More so, I think I have a friend in the industry who says this photo shoot's all about me and I want to create cool images. And to me, I'm on the polar opposite end of that. So my inspiration is the person in front of me. I have to know them. I don't connect with model shoots or anything that if I haven't talked to you, it's very difficult for me to work with you. So being inspired, listening to what they like, what their style is, I like to think kind of jack of all trades, decent, close to master of all of them as well. That do you want a light and airy style? Do you want an edgy style? I have all the tools to make any of those things happen. So, but going back, like specific people are like Joel Grimes, Amanda Holloway. There were just different people that I liked their style and tweaked them. So, and then I'd be lost without saying just about every senior I work with, they say something and a movie or a magazine comes to mind. And so very much pop culture inspires a lot of stuff too.
Let's see here.
Now, you've had the
I've
longest to think about this. So.
I know. I'm trying to like. Listening. I was engaging. I'm very similar to Nate, where like over the years, I just delved into, well, actually both of everybody here, but I've delved into a lot of like business stuff. the photography part of it, there's been a lot of influences from like this photographer, and I've been to all these conferences pretty much since the beginning. Actually, before I was actually a photographer, I was a photography teacher and a journalism teacher. And so I went to WPPI because it was in my backyard, and I would bring my students with me to the trade show and just let them look around at all the photography stuff and glean. They used to have like a lot more little pop-up educational booths. In fact, White House did with the Taufers. And I remember sitting there with some of my students in your booth with like the Taufer, like all these photographers that you brought in and spoke on the trade show floor, and just all day just listening to like everything that they were saying about their business and stuff. So that was huge. And I gleaned a lot from business practices and photography, all of that, just from even just the trade shows early on. And then as time has gone on, like I've realized that yes, the photography is important, but most importantly for longevity, like you've got to stay up with the times and like marketing and figuring out how to reach your audience and your clients. But also like all of those business practices and people who are a lot smarter than me. That's really the key right there, is like getting tuned into like, you know, all of the business part of it to make yourself like be able to make it in this industry.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we see it all the time where you have somebody whose art is amazing, but the business side falls very short. You know, and you can't be the opposite way 100% either, because there has to be a creative, you know, balance in with that as well. So, Mindy, how about for you?
Oh, geez.
I know I've been your inspiration for a long time.
You have been, Matt. You have been. I do video in Jody's studio. So when Jody's doing the photos for the senior, no matter where we are, I do the video. So sometimes I'm shooting over her shoulder. Sometimes I'm getting her in the video as well. Most of the time, though, I just try to get what I can. Put it that way. And the authentic, the real. Sometimes the raw, and then we do have a third sister, and she takes whatever I can give her, and she makes the most incredible videos out of it. So I guess my inspiration really is from the senior. Maybe at this point it sounds a little cliche, but it really is.
Yeah.
It's like where they're taking it, that's their story, and capturing their moments and their in-between moments of the photos. That's the part that the video captures.
Right, yeah, totally. And that's a completely different thing that we could talk about for another hour, is all the video aspect that, you know, especially, you know, on this end of the panel, you know, that's happening there. So as you're thinking about Wisconsin, Idaho, Nevada, I hear all the time, I can't do that in my region. I can't do that with my clients. I'll be overpriced. I'll have this excuse, and I'll have this excuse. Strong business, strong business, strong business. Different model, different model, different model. But when you think about it, artistic business, product-based. Mm-hmm. And another thing that is also a common denominator through this group is redesign. Current product. So let's shift a little bit and talk about that, because you guys are all great friends of White House. You're a believer in the products. You're a believer in in-person sales. So let's start with the Petersons here. Now, you guys did a redesign project. What's it been, 3 years ago now? 2 years ago? So how has that change impacted your business, and if you want to go into like what's the next step or what have you learned, that'd be cool too.
I think the main thing we talked about that you introduced us to was the gallery feel, that you go in and things are bigger than life. And so we have 3 40 by 60s down a hallway. So it almost feels commercial, but bigger than life. And when you really break down what a 40 by 60 is on your wall, I used to sell a lot of 20 by 30s, and 4 20 by 30s fit inside of there. So that has brought people to, now I think we sell more 24 by 36 than anything, because the 20 by 30 has been reduced in perception.
Yeah, I don't think we even put a 2030 back up, did we?
Because we had sold so many, that was the, but it just really, I think it made our entire studio look a little more elevated. That, and as the video series will show, there was a hodgepodge of stuff before, and now it's all very intentional. So that has just made people connect to it more, and showing what's available. But
Right. And you guys didn't just leave it at product. You painted, you did furniture, you did new clothes. You did all these things to elevate the brand. And now really when you walk into your studio, and if you want to check out their whole design series, it's on the Whcc YouTube, you walk in and it feels like Restoration Hardware. Like it's beautiful, and it's not sparse, but it's clean. You know, it's directing people to what you want to see. So Teresa, from the business side of it, like, and you're the greeter, you're the person that is the initial contact. How has that impacted you in the business?
Well, I personally feel elevated. So I feel like if I'm feeling elevated, I'm going to feel more elevated with my clients. I feel really good about where we are in our business and where we are, how our studio looks. So of course I'm going to feel like it's like I'm proud to show my home. I'm excited to have these people come into my home and treat them more. Not that I wasn't treating them as a guest before, but I feel like it just took it up to that next level notch.
Yeah, for sure. And Carrie, let's talk about your redesign a little bit. Now, you're in a little bit different circumstance. Well, you guys are kind of similar because you both have home studios. You live in your studio, but you're in a commercial space. So you bought a home,
It's a townhome.
a townhome, and complete fresh slate. And then you took the garage and you made that your shooting space.
Right.
So how is all that working so far, Carrie?
So one of the things that I love about my studio is that it is a home, really. Like, I mean, nobody lives there, but people walk in and they can see what those pieces of art would look like in their own home, because there's a living room, there's a dining room. So it's designed so that people can really see, oh, this would work in my house because I can see it here. And similar, I think, to Nate and Teresa, I remember when I was doing the redesign, I had a studio before this, which was a commercial space, and I was working with Matt on it. And we were talking about the pieces of furniture to bring in. And Matt's like, no. It's like, don't just repurpose, be intentional. You want people to walk into the space and say, wow, this is amazing. This is going to cost me some money, but this is amazing. So to make sure that everything looked clean and cohesive and higher end.
Yeah.
So.
And in full transparency, like, you started with a complete fresh slate. So it's like, what is it, Fixer Upper, with Chip and Joanna? That's the, not to minimize, but that's kind of the easiest scenario, because you get to walk in and you're like, what do I want to do? With you guys, I know it was a wrestling match of emptying out the room and then figuring out what gets to come back in. And then with Jody and Mindy, it's in your house, but it's added on. So for your space, Jody and Mindy, how is that working? Because you don't do a lot of photography there. You do a lot of stuff out on location.
Yes, we always start in the studio when we have a local session, which is predominantly what we do, obviously. So we always start in the studio with hair and makeup, prepping, going through their styles, and we meet clients there for our IPS. So we'll do some studio, and then we'll usually go to whatever location the kids like to go to. So the redesign of the studio, well, we bought the house and it has a whole side area, which is about half of the size of the house, which is great. And so we just kind of redesigned it with a lot of big wall portraits. We had blank walls. Actually, we tore down a bunch of walls and then rebuilt what we had. So, and it was nice to be able to kind of visualize like the larger portraits and the things that I really wanted from originally from my commercial space, which I had tons of wall space, over to this smaller space. So I had to be a lot more intentional in what I was putting up and wanted to showcase.
Right, for sure. So is it okay if I ask a hard question now, since we're all somewhat awake? Okay, so the one thing that I hear from people a lot, especially somebody who's fairly new to business, is how do I handle the question about somebody who just wants files? How do we handle that? Nate, do you want to Start with that. I can see you're like reaching for the microphone. He's like, I'll take that one. So how do you lead that conversation?
Well, as much as I get labeled the creative and she's the business, I really, in the industry-wise, I think I'm very business-focused compared to, I think there are some creative leaders in our industry, and I think I'm very business-focused overall. And that when I talk with newer photographers or somebody looking to elevate their business, it's you're leaving, I mean, we've said it, but you're leaving money on the table if you're not going after selling products for them. To me, it goes beyond that. You're leaving service on the table. You're not completing the job for people. And we compare it to, like, if you go to a fancy restaurant and the chef comes out and goes, there's your steak, and it's like bloody raw in a cellophane wrapper. It's no, our job is to go cook that and with all the preparation. How do we approach when somebody comes into there? That's evolved. 10 years ago, I would have said, that's not us. That's not what we do. I think as parents are getting younger, technology is getting more and more accepted and required, or like it's higher demand for those files. We've opened up the option, but you have to really set a price point that it's equally attractive to buy physical products. And we're creating that desire to have those things from the moment they touch our website to the
Things
moment
as
they
in
call.
products.
Yes.
Yep.
They want all of our website images are not just pictures; they're actual photos of art on walls. They're videos of the album. Our Instagram is full of client pickups showing multiple pieces of art on easels, and every senior gets a physical album in our package. So we do offer files beyond that. And I do predict, I have some friends transitioning to a digital-based starter package and then selling physical products beyond that. But I think as parents get younger, that is going to transition there, and I think we all have to be ready for that. But really just showing this is why it's important and getting them to, we have to educate the client on this isn't some corny thing I'm trying to make you do. This is when your child leaves for college, you're going to walk by this effortlessly every day and just feel them. And when you connect on that level with a client, it becomes kind of a no-brainer to them. Like, of course I want that. And that's really where we lead our clients too.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Teresa, do you have anything to add there?
Yeah, just from a little bit different perspective, I truly believe that if you were to ask your clients, what do you want to use the digitals for? 90% of the time it's for social media. And I want them to have those social media images all day long, because them posting it versus me posting it is
Right.
100 times more
Completely
marketing
different,
than,
yeah.
So we do have digital files for print available to purchase up to an 8x12. Because I don't want them taking my image and going to some off-brand place and getting a canvas where it's all wobbly and crappy. I want something quality from White House that I know is going to last forever. But we also do have the social media files that are available to them. They can either pay for them or they get them free when they when they reach my happy place in the
Right.
spending amount. So, because I want them to have those. I
When
want
they
them to
reach
be sharing
Teresa's
this.
happy place.
So I think there's kind of two questions there. Honestly, if you poll your parents, I mean, most of us are photographing kids that are in multiple sports or have multiple hobbies. I don't believe parents really have time to go and take it to wherever. First of all, where can you get them printed anymore? And to take them somewhere and get them printed, like 8x10s, 5x7 gift prints, that is an option for us. But when you really ask them, what do you want to use these for? It's really not for print. And there is some people, but it's really more for social. And again, that's marketing for both of us. So I'm happy to have them at a price that makes me happy.
Yeah, and that's a good redirect too. Kind of diffuse the question. We're not ignoring it. We're going to give a close to a solution for them, and then you're happy as well. So, Carrie, how about you?
So absolutely agree with the points you guys have made. I think especially shooting high school seniors, they all want the digitals. They all want to do the senior Sunday thing. They all want to share them on socials. So yeah, I'm not preventing them from having that, but I also know that I have been guilty when we lived in South Africa that I had family shoots done, and the 99.9% of people in South Africa are doing shoot and burn. I have paid for family sessions. I have gotten a USB stick and it has gone into a drawer and I have done nothing with the images. And this is from a photographer. So it is such a disservice to the client to charge them money for a service. And as you say, only half cook the steak, right? Or not even cook the steak at all. It's really, they may not realize it in the moment, but by preserving these memories and, putting them into albums and wall art, they're actually going to be able to enjoy them and get value for their money versus having had an experience, forgetting about it, putting it in a drawer, and
Yeah.
oh yeah, we did do a family session.
Yeah.
Huh.
Where are those images?
Where are those pictures?
Yeah. Yeah, for
So.
sure. Awesome. All right, Jody and Mindy.
Yes, so I'm going to talk about the photo part, and Mindy's going to talk about the video part.
Okay.
So the photo part, I completely agree with all of you. And I have also been guilty of doing family sessions for myself and never getting around to even printing them because your work, your photos always are last to be done.
The plumber always has the leaky pipes.
Exactly. Yes. And so but it's so important. And I have digital files available for them after they purchase a certain amount or certain product. And I think the most important part is what Nate said, is educating the client. I use the word legacy a lot because everything in our society is like, I need it now, and then you never do anything with it, and it's gone, or like Snapchat, it's gone after a few hours. So what are you going to carry on? You might be a teenager now and you're not thinking about kids or grandkids, but what are you going to pass down to your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren? And, we all have those, hopefully, some of us have those old photos of our great-grandparents or our grandparents, and they're still here and we know exactly where they are in our house, and so that's really cool that you can like pull that up from like 100 years ago now and have a photo of that family member. And for my clients who come to me, I know somewhere in there they feel the importance of carrying on that legacy. And it's just to bring to mind for them, like, oh yeah, I do have those photos and I do want to pass something on to my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren, etc.
So before Mindy starts, would you all agree that the question about that is more due to we don't know what else to ask? And that's just like, back in the day before digital, how much is your 8x10? Now it's like, do I get the files? Like, is that because people don't really know what else to ask, do you think?
Yeah, I think so.
It could be, yeah.
And I think seniors do legitimately want the digitals.
For social media.
For social media, not to print. Yeah.
All right, Mindy.
And I do think also that, I can't remember, I had a thought, but
Happens to me all the time.
it was about the digitals and anyway.
Yeah.
But for video, it's like that's a completely digital product. You can, right now we've got Netflix, Amazon Prime, and all that stuff where you can stream the videos and so forth. We've had multiple parents come back and say, oh, well, I don't even know where that video is. I can't watch it on my TV. I don't do streaming. Or if I do streaming on Netflix, I don't know how to stream something that I own on my
Versus
TV.
just going to Netflix.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And
okay.
so we have invested in burning DVDs and, well, not DVDs, Blu-rays, high-end burner, so that we can provide them with a Blu-ray disc, which is a little bit older. It's getting a little archaic, but besides just giving them a USB of it, besides giving them a digital download, besides putting it on YouTube for them, we're giving them that hard disc, and then we print the CD cover through White House, which is awesome.
So you've almost gone like full circle coming back.
We want to provide them with, even on their videos, we want to provide them with a hard copy of something that they can either take to grandma or send to grandma and say, here's my video, stick it in your Blu-ray player and watch it.
That's awesome. All right, now I know that we have to get going here, and I want people to be able to find you guys online. So Petersons, let's start with you. Website, Instagram, Facebook, like where are you at on the web so people can find you?
All right, so we are at www.np, as in Nate Peterson, designphotography.com. And then on Instagram is NP Design Photo. And Facebook, just find Nate Peterson or NP Design and Photography.
Okay, awesome. All right, Carrie?
So I am Carrie Grant Photography. So it's on all three. www.carriegrantphotography.com. Sounds so commercial. And then on socials, same, Carrie Grant Photography.
Okay, awesome. And Jody?
And I'm jodyraelphotography.com. And Instagram, Jody Rael, pretty much all the social medias I have some sort of presence on. TikTok's jody.rael.photography, and YouTube also have a channel there, Jody Rael Photography. And then
for One Collective, it's just onecollective.io. That's the website. And our Instagram is @onecollective.io. Pretty much everything is @onecollective.io for the socials. We have our YouTube pages, which is @onecollective. Together We Create, which is quite long, but it's a good one. And then, I also have a personal business @jodyrael.creator for our studio.
And how do you keep up with all these?
We have a social media helper manager who is our third sister, and she helps us with all of that.
That's awesome. All right, well, we appreciate you guys, helping out this morning, volunteering to get up nice and early. I think that this was fantastic. Do you want to add something, Nate? I see you were grabbing the microphone.
I was just going to say that I think one thing we all have in common is our love of White House. And I know you don't ever push this in the videos, but I have to say a commercial for you that you guys are the most supportive educational lab with not only amazing products, but amazing staff and everything like that. So it's a partnership and a family, and it truly is. And that's what we really all have in common. So when you put this together, we instantly bond because you know us on that level. So I just had to get that in there so that people realize if they don't feel that with their partners or their vendors, come experience White House, and you will experience a whole new level of service, education, quality.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Support.
Yeah. I wouldn't be in my successful business as I am without White House from the very beginning, like serving not only in the lab and the products, but mostly in the education and the advice from 100. Yeah. Just
Awesome.
from
And
Cool.
even stuff like this where you're just getting us together. Like now when I come to conferences, I have more friends to see and bounce ideas off of, and
Yeah.
it's just amazing.
yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Well, we appreciate you guys. Love you. Thank you for helping out. We hope that you've really enjoyed this morning. This has been fantastic. We're going to be doing more of these, so keep an eye on the YouTube. If you haven't hit the subscribe button, make sure and do that now. Enjoy the rest of your day. We'll be back with you soon.